All right, folks, more ripples are being sent through the economy with the latest news here, the latest announcements. We've got huge news out of Starbucks that there's going to be massive layoffs, even branches closing down. We're going to get into that. We're going to hear from a few different people. Also, big news out of CarMax, right? People are slowing down on these car purchases that are still way overpriced. My question is, why wouldn't CarMax just lower the prices of their cars? But they kept prices high, and now they're suffering some blowback from that. We're going to get into that. Also, other news on the other side. But first, let's hear from a few people. We've got some big news to catch up on later in this video. But first, let's start right here regarding Starbucks.
About Starbucks this morning, the company just announced it is now laying off 900 retail employees, corporate employees, 900 of them losing their jobs, in addition to a cut of 1% of all stores, coffee shops across the country. Kind of shocking news for us here in Seattle, because we also just learned that the two roasteries in town, the one at the main world headquarters down the street, also is closing. And the roastery in Seattle's Capitol Hill had a note on the door this morning saying employees are heartbroken to announce that they are closing the roastery. This has been a relatively popular spot for people that are really interested in coffee, who also want to get their lattes and things like that. It's a little more fancy version of a Starbucks coffee shop. But a stunning announcement from Starbucks as it announces these layoffs on top of 1,100 jobs already cut by this new CEO. The company clearly trying to tighten its business operations to save money. We'll see how this all plays out, but 900 employees, Starbucks losing their jobs, and 1% of stores closing.
Needed more evidence that big corporate is definitely a profit over people playbook. Starbucks' latest announcement today shows you that their forced RTO didn't get the results they were looking for. And by results, I mean they didn't get enough people to quit that they had hoped. So now they're resorting to more of a mass layoff and some store closings. And don't be fooled for a minute that this is actually something that's going to help the company, right? Move it forward. This is purely a cost-cutting exercise to get to the profitability, because if you remember when I posted on this way back when, the C-suite is completely tied to a profitability bonus, right? So they have to take expenses out, and it's not a top line. I'm sure they've got some incentive for top line, but at the end of the day, they need profitability and they need to drive the stock price up. That's all this is. And if you think all the moves today were coincidental, they're not. It's purely about taking expense out of the business, because his grand strategy, CEOs, has not worked. So again, when you think about that playbook, it's the forced RTO. Hopefully you get people to quit. When they don't quit, then you do layoffs. Right now, I think this is their second big one of the year, which tells me that they're going to miss their quarterly profit number again, and the CEO is under intense pressure to deliver. So anyway, if you're a Gen Xer still hanging out in corporate, waiting for things to get better, they're not going to get better.
Waiting for things to get better. If you're still hanging out, waiting for things to get better, they're not going to get better. That's I think a big wake-up call, folks. Things are going to continue to get worse. Nothing that's being done right now is going to fix the problem. The problem is everything's overpriced. People aren't making enough money. And just to kind of flashback again, what we learned recently here, just in the past few weeks, is that the consumer spending, almost half of it, really close to half of it, was things were consumed. The money spent was done by the top 10%. Almost half of consumer spending done by the top 10%. And then the rest of the people that are not in the top 10%, most of their spending was debt-based spending, credit cards. All right, and we're not talking about the people that pay off their cards in full each month. You use your card because it's convenient. Maybe you get points or miles, but then you pay it off in full each month. I'm talking about the people that have debt and credit card debt. They're not paying it off. They continue to get further and further in debt each month, and they continue to live basically on credit cards. That's most of the people that are not in the top 10%. So when you look at it, this economy is pretty much propped up on the top 10% and debt-based spending, credit card swipes. And of course, also people borrowing money. Most people that buy a car borrow the money. Most people that buy a home borrow the money. And it's just going to continue, folks. So let's continue, folks. We've got big news coming here in the later part of this video, but take a listen to this next. Now, first of all, I'm out in front today of this cabin in the woods. Because the way things are going, a lot more people might be looking to get a cabin in the woods, or worse yet, a tent in the woods, right? Let's continue with this news here before we get into the rest of it. And here's someone talking about how if people get together and decide to say enough is enough and to stop buying, pick your item, pick your product, Starbucks, cars. If enough people get together and say, no, I'm not going to pay this anymore, things might change. And look what's happened, with Starbucks. So here's an example. Let's take a listen to what she's got to say.
Oh, but financial protests don't work, right? Are you sure? Because Starbucks is going to have to lay off thousands of employees. They're closing hundreds of their stores because their profits cannot recover. They cannot recover. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because people stopped buying their coffee. People stopped buying it. We protested and it worked. It works every single time, actually. It worked on Target. It worked on Disney and ABC. Worked on Starbucks. It works every time we do it. It brings corporations to their knees. And it reminds all of us that we actually have the power. We are holding the reins. Your money is your power. And they don't want you to understand that. Because if we truly understood that, we could shut this whole shit down in 5 seconds. Literally, we could shut the entire operation down in less than a week.
We could. We could close all the stores. I don't think we want that to happen. People still want places to go. But as far as price control, if enough people say no, these companies will be forced to slash prices. Now, sadly, what they'll do, instead of cutting their prices, they'll probably just lay people off. Right? It's pretty sad. But either way, it's going to have an effect on these companies. Let's finish up here.
Do you know that the Disney shareholders called an emergency meeting because our financial protests cost them $4 billion? This is the way we get what we want. This is our weapon.
There you go, folks. So, as I've been talking about here in this channel, folks, if enough people just say no, aren't you tired of paying these high prices? Just say no. It starts with you, and then maybe somebody else will do the same thing. If you talk to somebody else about it, maybe spread the word. There are people spreading the word to a lot more people on social media. Just say no to the high prices. If you don't need it, don't buy it. All right? And I've done a lot of wasted money. I've taken vacations. I've been to sporting events. I've been to clubs, concerts, you name it. I've traveled to a lot of different places. I didn't have to do those things. And I understand you don't want life to be dull and boring. You want to spend money. But if enough people don't say no, folks, prices are just going to keep rising. And then there's the other view, which looks at things in a lot darker of a light, saying that people are going to be forced to stop buying things like the daily Starbucks and other luxury items. You may not consider Starbucks luxury, but I think it is. When you look at how much you can make coffee for at home, right? But folks, this is where it starts. But again, some people say that it's going to be forced to happen because people are so loaded up with debt right now. They can't pay it off. We know most students can't pay off their loans. They can't even make the monthly payments. And it's getting to be a bigger and bigger problem. Now, we're going to get into some people giving their input and getting their feedback on recent layoffs and people that have actually gotten laid off. But before that, a couple of the things here. Amazon just got fined $2.5 billion. Apparently, they were making it really easy to sign up for Amazon Prime, which is a package where you get fast shipping and certain days you get discounts and other things like Prime Video and stuff like that. They were making it really easy to sign up. In some cases, you click a button or you say the wrong thing to the Alexa app, and then it signs you up. But then when it comes to cancel, they weren't so it wasn't so easy. They didn't make it very easy to cancel it. So they got a class action, big settlement, $2.5 billion. Also, a big warning coming out of the automobile division here. We've got CarMax sales plunging, and the stock just dropped 20%. If it goes down further, if it goes down 30%, I may look at it as a dip buy. I'll start with a small position in the stock. But auto industry flashing a warning. This is how the Journal put it. The signs of the U.S. economy. CarMax's sales and profit plunged in the latest quarter, sending the stock down, folks. Another example. Now, I wonder why CarMax wouldn't just lower their prices. You would think, okay, let's sell more cars with lower prices. If you're seeing a slowdown in sales, prices need to come down. And that's what's happening in the housing market, all right? If you want to sell your home, slash the price. People are looking at the housing market. Real estate agents are complaining about having to change industries because they're not making enough sales. When they do make a sale, the commission's pretty nice because prices are still high. But the reason sales are slow is because prices are still too high. Most people priced out of the market. But again, the top 10%, they can come in and buy the home, no problem. But the other 90%, most people priced out of the housing market, folks. So sales have plunged. Commissions aren't there for real estate agents. Car sales are plunging. They're going to have to lower their prices, otherwise go out of business. I would recommend that these car lots just lower your prices. And you've got to say no. Unless you absolutely need a car, you've got to say no to these high prices. And when I say absolutely need a car, most people need a car. But I'm talking about asking yourself, can you drive your current car? Will it go 10,000 more miles? If it can, wait. It may be a few extra oil changes. Maybe it's burning extra oil. Maybe it needs a little maintenance here and there. Hopefully not a lot of maintenance. In some cases, a lot of maintenance, you're better off with a newer car or new car. But you know what I mean? If you can drive it still, drive it till the wheels fall off is what some people say. Even though that doesn't sound very safe, does it? Drive it till the wheels fall off. We've got a banker out there now, someone from the Fed, saying that rapid rate cuts are going to be necessary. Saying the economy is not about to crater, but at the same time saying rapid rate cuts may be necessary. So it sounds like someone's trying to play both sides of the field, so to speak, here. Because if you need rapid rate cuts, to me, that's a signal that something is wrong with the economy. But yet he follows up by saying, no, the economy is not about to crater. Nothing to look at here. Don't worry about it.
So I just got laid off from my finance job. And after 8 years of living in New York City, I am moving back in with my parents at 26 years old. And honestly, I have felt stuck ever since graduating college, but somehow I am feeling optimistic about this, and I am ready to challenge myself in a way that I never have. I'm a former Ivy League graduate. I played Division I football as a quarterback there, and I took the finance route just like everyone around me, and I have been fitting into this mold that is not me for nearly 5 years now, and I know the me of the last 4 years would take this horribly and see it as me being a failure, but I'm going to take a different approach. So here's my plan. I'm going to use this as a launching point to rediscover who I am, what I have passions about, what hobbies do I want to pursue, what career do I want to pursue, do I want to build something myself, or do I want to join something that I truly.
All right, folks. Ivy League school graduate moving back in with his parents, 26 years old, from New York City. He was in finance. He got laid off. I'm assuming he's probably got some college debt. Ivy League school, I'm assuming living in New York, he probably didn't pay off his debt. Or maybe he got a scholarship. He did mention he was football player, quarterback. Maybe. But if he was doing that well, if he didn't have college debt, maybe he wouldn't be moving back in with his parents. Point is, you get a degree now, you're not guaranteed a job. If you get a job, it's not guaranteed to last that long, or it's definitely not guaranteed to last forever. But he's only a few years out of college, it looks like, and this happened to him.
Well, corporate America strikes again. Yeah, my entire team got laid off yesterday. Every single one. I saw this coming. I did. And that's why I gave my notice a day before the list came out. The list. Yeah, that one. So I was told that today. So for the next week, while my team is dealing with that, at least I have another role lined up. I'm very grateful for that. It's actually a promotion. But as if the world wasn't enough of a train wreck into a dumpster fire, I now have to do the work of my entire team for the next week and transition all of the projects into the ether wherever they will land.
She's being nice. I wouldn't have stuck around to get everything set up and do twice the work. I would have been out of there, but maybe she doesn't want to burn any bridges. I don't know.
And it was told to me today by a VP. Oh, I wish you hadn't given in your notice. Thanks. I'm just going to sit here and have my beverage and eat my Halloween candy and not give up because I'm done. I'm done.
She's eating Halloween candy and it's not even October yet. She must be stressed out. And it looks like a Kit Kat. If you're eating Kit Kats, you're probably stressed out. All right, people. Hope everybody's well. I was going to say, I hope you don't end up living in the woods, but actually this cabin back here looks pretty good. And it might be $1 million cabin for all we know with the way prices are right now. Either way, let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Starbucks, is that a sign of things to come? Why are there calls for the need for possible rapid rate cuts, right? Things are going to likely get worse, folks. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Buckle up, strap in. Hope to see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.